Thokozani, Hotep. How is everyone doing? Please tap the screen. Tap the screen if you can hear me. Just so I know that you're here. Please tap the screen, fam. Hotep Royals, Thokozani. Please tap the screen. Tap the screen. Can you guys hear me okay? If you can hear me, please tap the screen. Tap the screen. Thank you. Tap the screen, please, guys. You guys tap the screen, please. Tap. Tap the screen, family. Please tap the screen. Thank you. Tap the screen. Just keep tapping it. Tapping the screen so we get that number of likes up. Please tap the screen. You just tap continuously. Tap. Yeah, let me see. There we go. Seeing those hearts are coming in. Thokozani. Welcome, everybody. Thokozani. How are you? I am back. By popular demand. Tap the screen. Let's get this going. Good evening. It says can 3 sugar. Yes, good night to you too. Thokozani. Please just keep tapping that screen, guys. As soon as we get to 50 people, I'm going to get started. I just want us to talk about something that is very important that I don't think a lot of people actually have a definition of, and I think a lot of people don't even know whether they are in that kind of situation themselves. So today we really, it's going up. There we go. Yeah, it's gone up really quickly. Perfect. So I'm going to get right into it. So today, let's talk about something that is very common in our community. Guys, we've got a lot of healing to do, is all I can say. But I want us to look at a phenomenon that palm-colored creatures call trauma bonding. Because we're using their language, what can we do? Guys, keep tapping the screen, please. I really beg of you, keep tapping the screen so it goes into the algorithm. Just tap that screen. Like while I'm talking, you can keep tapping. That's it. Just keep going. Tap. If everybody who's here taps the screen, we are going to get up to a lot of likes. It'll go into the algorithm pretty quickly. And then we can get this message out to as many people as possible. If you have friends who you enjoy, love healing or need to heal or need to hear this, go ahead and share this out. Just, click on the share button, let it go. So, Thokozani, Hotep Royals, everybody, you're welcome. Deep breaths, because this is probably going to be another heavy one. But we're healing in the process of digging up these things. And that is what's important, is that I don't come here to talk about these very difficult things just for the sake of it. I actually do it because we then, it's like when you have a boil, it hurts when you lance it. Right? It really hurts, and it hurts when you squeeze that pus out, when you squeeze. But then afterwards, that heals totally, rather than allowing the boil to keep festering, which is what we tend to do in our community, unfortunately, for many reasons. One reason is that we're a stressed out community. A lot of us are living, hand to mouth. A lot of us don't have time to do proper introspection. A lot of us don't even know that some of the things that we engage in or some of the relationships we're in are actually toxic for us. Why is that? Because it's been generation after generation upon generation of the same toxicity. And so many of us don't even have an idea of what is considered normal or what is healthy. And many of us are so dissociated from our own feelings. So we don't even have a sense of when something feels wrong right? Which is really where you know that I'm in a situation I shouldn't be, is when it feels wrong. So I want us to talk about trauma bonding today. Okay, so what's the definition of trauma bonding? Trauma bonding is an unhealthy bond or attachment that exists between somebody who's being abused and their abuser, right? Now, many people know of Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome meaning that syndrome where a victim actually falls in love with their abuser. So trauma bonding, Stockholm Syndrome, you can say, is a form of trauma bonding, but it usually applies to intimate partner relationships only. When we talk about the trauma bond, we're talking about a bond. It talks about any kind of relationship you have with anyone who's abusive in your life. So, for example, a lot of children form trauma bonds with their family members. A lot of children are forming trauma bonds with the people who take care of them, their mothers, right? There is a very big trauma bond that can form between an abusive mother and her children. How does that take place? Well, first and foremost, when a child is born, they're totally defenseless to their parents, right? They come into this world totally vulnerable to their parents. And when they come into this world totally vulnerable to their parents, it means that whatever abuse the parent gives them, this child has nowhere to go, because this is ground zero. This is mother, or this is father. And then what happens is the abuse goes on, but then there are periods where after the abuse, things are good, right? And so the child develops a hope and a trust and a confidence once again that they are okay with their parent, right? Until the next session of abuse. It's a very heavy topic to talk about because I know that a lot of people are going to relate. I know that a lot of people are going to hear this and it's going to trigger something. But again, remember what I always say about this healing space that I provide every once in a while on heavy topics is that's why I say deep breaths throughout these conversations that we have are very important, because breath is life and breath is healing. So if you do feel triggered as I'm speaking, just hold yourself there and breathe deep and allow the sensations that are going on in your body to go through you and acknowledge. Because one of the first things to heal from a trauma bond is to actually acknowledge that you are in an abusive relationship with your mother or your father or whoever it is that has taken care of you. Why do I say that? I spoke about the little child, right? And how they are defenseless to their parents. But this is where the trauma bonding begins. Lo and behold, this trauma bond goes on to manifest itself in a toxic kind of relationship whereby you are with your mother, she hurts you, or your father, they hurt you. And what do? You tell yourself, you know what, I'm leaving, I'm going to be no contact. You are no contact for 6 months, you're no contact for a year. But then out of the blue, you call them. And as you call the parent, mostly out of guilt and shame and love, right? You feel bad that you're ignoring your mom or you're ignoring your dad. And so you make that contact again. After you've made that contact, what happens? Boom, before you know it, the abusive parent is saying horrible things to you. When are you getting married? Look at your peers. They're all doing this, that, and the next. You come away from that phone call deeply regretting why you even bothered to call, right? And you come away from that phone call feeling so bad about yourself. You tell yourself, I'm never going to call again, right? I'm never going to call again. She doesn't change. She never acknowledges what wrong that she's done in the past. Anytime we try to have a conversation about past hurts, she gaslights me. She makes it seem like it's my fault that all this happened, or she turns herself into the victim, that kind of thing. So you stay away for a while, right? No contact once again. until again, out of the blue, this pull, this pull, this pull, you call. And then what happens? Boom, the same thing happens to you again. And as it happens again, you ask yourself again, why the hell did I do that? You regret having called. Here are 7 stages of trauma bonding. So you understand that this is actually something that needs to be dismantled, just the same way as these stages were built up to heal from a trauma bond and to separate yourself is not that easy, and it's really complicated. For somebody who's not in that kind of a relationship, it's very easy to say, you know what, go no contact. In fact, just walk away. For your peace of mind, just walk away. And then when you go back, the person's like, well, why? Why did you go back? There's no real rational answer for that, except that this thing is so complex. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today, so that we understand how deeply complex these things are. And while it's easy to say, you know what, I'm going no contact, I'm going to take care of me, myself, before you know it, you find yourself back there. And you're questioning your own sanity. Like, you know, why do I continue to do the same thing over and over again? I'm going to open this up for anyone who wants to come on and share. But I just wanted to go through like these 7 stages, and then we can really delve deeper. So number 1 is love bombing. Right? Many of you know what love bombing is. This is usually what happens when somebody who has abused you just showers you with so much love to the extent that you actually kind of forget. Right? It's almost like the profuse apology and the over the top signs, if you like, of loving you so much that it's very easy for you to genuinely forgive and go into that place of comfort and trust again. You start to trust again, you start to depend on them again. But then before you know it, criticism starts, right? So now it's like the carpet is being pulled from under your feet once again. It's like just as you started to settle in and feel comfortable that, you know what, we're good, we're doing well. Please, guys, tap the screen. Please. Tap the screen. Just as you're settling in to feel like, you know what, we're good again. My mom and I, we've had some problems, but now we've sorted it out. Boom. It starts all over, the criticism, right? So criticism, gaslighting you. The gaslighting is a really serious one. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is when somebody tells you something and then you make them believe that actually it was their fault that happened. You know, it's similar to the abusive partner who beats you and then says, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do to you. So it becomes your fault that person behaved badly. And the problem with gaslighting is that you take that on. You take that blame and that guilt onto yourself to say, no, see, this person treated me like this because what? Because I deserve it, right? That is the danger of gaslighting. It's a serious type of manipulation. And many of us aren't even aware that that is happening to us when it's happening. Right? The third one is emotional addiction. It's very easy to get addicted to the love bombing, to the extent that when said parent or said person abuses you, you take it on and you endure it because already psychologically you know what the payoff is. The payoff is that intense period of love and affection and gifts and nice words and warmth. For children, it is really crazy making, and it makes them feel really unstable even as they grow into adulthood. It's very confusing and unstable because that love bombing stage and that intense affection and warmth and nurturing is something that they yearn for anyway because they're your kids. And then suddenly it's pulled from under their feet. So you can see how that becomes very, very, very traumatic. These kind of people, another sign is you lose yourself. You can be an adult who's 32 years old, and if you've been in a trauma bonding relationship, say with your mother or even with both parents, you have no sense of self. You have zero sense of self. It's like you are an adult who's supposed to function. You're 32 years old, but you find that you feel like you're 6 or 7 years old. Like the world feels like a huge and scary place for you, and you are not equipped with the tools to function as a normal adult. That is how sad that is. And then there's also the resignation and submission, whereby at some point you're so beaten down, you submit to this cycle, and you start to tell yourself things that make it easier for you to stay in that abusive cycle. Things like, well, actually, my parents weren't abusive. After all, they fed me, they clothed me, right? My parents couldn't have been abusive. If they were really that bad, they wouldn't have paid for my education. They wouldn't have paid for college, right? You find ways to justify this behavior. Or, I was so naughty in school. I was naughty, and therefore I deserved the treatment that I got, right? Or I was a difficult child. I didn't listen. I deserved the punishment that I got, right? So in order so that's how you submit, is that you justify everything that has happened and you refuse to call it by its name. Now, I want to say, I need to say this, and I know that there are a lot of people who might get upset with me, but in Black families, it is very common because corporal punishment, i.e. the smacking and the what, is very common, right? And you will hear some of us, our age group, say things like, the 2000s are behaving the way they are because, they're not getting smacked. But in truth, if you look at what we say, look how we turned out great. But the question is, did we really turn out great? Or have we found ways of justifying abuse because we've had to submit? So we found ways of coping with it. Instead of facing it and healing, we found ways of coping with it by justifying it. My parents, that's why I turned out the way I did, because my parents didn't play. But then if that's so, why is it that we've bred a generation of 2000s who are absolutely crazy kids? How is it that our methods, if they worked the same way, so we're trying to do what our parents did with us. Why is it not working with this new generation of kids? Right? We really have to start getting honest about our own wounding so that we can avoid wounding our children, or if we have wounded our children already, so that we know how to go about fixing this. Right? So I'm focusing more on the parent-child relationship as opposed to the intimate partner one, because we've talked about that a whole lot, But what I'm doing is I want you guys to link the pieces. How is it that as an adult, you end up in an abusive relationship you can't leave? Sometimes if you trace backwards, you find that no, it's because you have deep trauma from your childhood because of the trauma bonding type of relationship you had with your parents. And so you find yourself in a relationship or in relationships or attracting people who had similar traits to your parents. And when you're in that relationship, you don't quite know how to exit or to leave, because when you were in such a type of abusive relationship in your own home, you couldn't leave. Where were you going to go? Where were you going to go? These were the parents that you were born to. And these are the people you depended on for everything. So that's crippled you, because now you exit, you're an adult. First and foremost, you have no sense of self. That is a very dangerous place to be as an adult, as a young adult, is when you don't have a sense of self. Because when you don't have a sense of self, someone else can define you for you. Someone else can get in there and mold you to be the thing that they want you to be. Most people coming out of trauma bonding relationships, particularly Indlovukazi women, end up being attracted to older men. These are your 20-somethings suddenly finding themselves in a relationship with someone in their 40s and 50s. Why? Because those kind of men who go for young women are predatory. What is a predator? A predator is an animal that looks for the weakest prey in a group, in a herd. Most of the time, they look very carefully for, okay, there's a herd of zebra. Let's see which one is injured in there. Let's see which one can't run as fast as the others. Let's see, right? And they go and they pounce. Why? Because it's easy. You're easy pickings. So now you're in this relationship with this older man, and this older man can make you into anything that they want. That's why most of these older men don't want women who are their peers, because a fully grown woman who knows who she is, who knows what she wants, who's done her healing work, is not going to put up with half the shit that a young woman who's impressionable, who doesn't have a sense of self, and who's literally looking for a father figure. Because most of these young women are not going into these relationships because they are looking for a man. They think they are. But what they're looking for is they're looking for a father figure. And here is this predator now has you. You have no sense of self. They can mold you into anything that they want. You can become their slave. And what they do in exchange is that they just throw money at you. So you are here as a young woman thinking, I'm good, I'm happy. He takes care of me because he gives me money. But really, you don't have a sense of self. And the guy's quite happy with that because he's molded you into his plaything or whatever else he wants you to become. Does that make sense? So it's very important to really look at yourself and ask yourself whether you are in a trauma bonding type of situation, whether you come out of it. I call it a trauma bond, and most people who have been in such relationships actually have what is called post-traumatic, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which requires real therapy and years of work to actually come to work on it and to heal from it. It's like somebody who's been in a war zone, because soldiers and people who've been in battlefields are the ones who suffer PTSD from all the horrible things that they saw. Children suffer PTSD too, because if the home and what was going in there feels like a war zone, then they exhibit those same symptoms as if it's somebody who's been in a war. Does that make sense? Anyone want to request? Go ahead and request and we can chit chat. I'm quite happy to facilitate some healing. If anybody wants to share their story or, just share their own thoughts on this. I think it's a very critical topic that we need to talk about. And I know that, again, it's so hard for me sometimes because I always address women, but that is where my calling lies. This is not to the exclusion of men. So even if there's any royal who's a guy who wants to come and share, you're so welcome to do so. Just request and I'll let you on and we can talk. Morning, no. Do you know that it's 9 p.m. my time? So yes, it's morning for you. It's nighttime for me. So anyone who's interested, please just go ahead and request and come on and we can have this conversation, facilitate some healing and see whether we can make some headway. But yeah, we need to start talking about these things within our community. And I know for a fact that even out here in the West, counseling and therapy, especially there are not enough therapists out here. There are not enough trained therapists. There are not enough trained therapists of color. And of course, trusting palm-colored creatures is a heavy one for us because we never quite know whether they have our best interest at heart when we go to see them. And a lot of the nuances that happen within our community, they don't understand. Because half the time, whatever it is that we're sharing with them, they are looking at it from their place of privilege. And they may be like, oh my God, what horrific things you went through. And it's like, dude, do you know that 70 or 80% of my community lives in horrific conditions? So, and this is the thing that I don't want us to do. I don't want us to not look at our wounding and justify our wounding by saying, well, it's because we are already a traumatized people. That's not going to get us anywhere. We can happily, difficult though it is, look at our wounding and accept it, because acceptance and recognition and acknowledgement of our wounding is the first step. You don't have to justify. Once you start to justify why you're wounded, then you're making it okay that you're wounded. You're not going to heal. You're not going to heal. And it's not showing disloyalty to your parents or to your caregivers or to your grandmother or to your mother or to your father. It is not showing disloyalty to say, I am wounded. They hurt me. Many people don't even want to acknowledge that or to name it, because then they feel guilty, because then they feel like, yo, but you know, my mom was a single mom. She struggled for me so much. And now I'm over here saying she did X, Y, Z. The truth is she did. We're not saying that, you know, she's a bad person for having done that. She probably didn't know better. But the fact is it happened to you, and we must heal. So if we don't acknowledge that we need to heal, then where are you going to heal? And justifying doesn't help. If you grew up in a home with a narcissistic parent, a parent who really was dissociated from you and didn't even know how to love you, it's okay and necessary to acknowledge that. Then you can heal. If you grew up in a home where the parent, you couldn't talk to your parents because they couldn't ever accept that they'd done anything wrong, where they couldn't even apologize, and then not just apologize, but then change their behavior and validate your feelings. It's okay to say, I'm hurt by that. They hurt me, because then you can heal. It's not an indictment on your parent as an evil person. Because half the time, they don't even know they're doing it themselves because it was done to them. Are you understanding where I'm coming from, Black family? But the truth is, we have to face these hard truths, and that's really the only way that we can heal. As somebody says, emotional and mental trauma. Yeah. Thank you for this open forum of communication. Towards, like I said, anyone want to join in, anyone wants to comment, you are so welcome. Just press the request button and you can come on and you can share your thoughts. Yeah, we have a lot that's going on. And the thing is, you know, the burden falls on us to do this healing. The burden is really falling on us, because it's that thing where once you know better, you have to do better. I always say, and I say this over and over again, it is not it's not your fault that you were hurt. It is not your fault. You couldn't help that. Especially you were a young child, you were growing up. You could not help that. But then it becomes your responsibility as an adult to heal. That is your responsibility. And no one is coming to do that healing work for you. You have to do it yourself. You do it yourself so that you don't stay stuck. Many people are stagnating in life right now. Many people are stuck in their lives right now. It's got nothing to do with witchcraft. It's got nothing to do with anyone throwing hexes at you. It's to do with the fact that you were hurt and you haven't healed. So it really, really becomes important. Watching a heal the last born hurts, but I'm happy that they're in a different experience. Sejo, I'm taking, I take it you're talking about your mom or a parent or a guardian. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, sometimes, you know, parents do learn with their younger children, and maybe the older one or two, or even just the oldest, is just so done and has just decided that, the damage is irreparable with this person. I can heal myself, but I can no longer have anything to do with this parent, right? But then maybe the parent then learns that I've lost my first child, and it happens. You can lose your children, but I can do right or try to work with these ones that are there. And sometimes, by the time our parents are older, and they are more mellow. That's why you find that, the younger children, we often say, get away with a lot more than older children. Not in the sense that, they get away, but it's just that the parents have mellowed somewhat. And then they look back and they see the damage that has happened with the first child or the second child, and they realize that, gosh, it looks like there's nothing I can do there. Let me see if I can do better with these ones that are left in the house, so to speak. I had to take a parenting class for 6 weeks and family counseling to heal myself and my children. That is such a positive move. And that, the acknowledgement that I've hurt my kids, and then the willingness to say, I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. I'll do whatever I need to do to fix this. That for me is one of the great hallmarks of being a queen, of being Indlovukazi, is to say, listen, this is my legacy, right? Because once you have your children, that's your legacy. That's your DNA to go on and on and on. So that's why I say it's up to us to do this fixing. It's up to us to do this heavy lifting now, right? Maybe our mothers didn't do it and our grandmothers didn't do it, and so on and so forth. But now we're here now. If you're here watching me, then you know for a fact that you're meant to be here and you're meant to hear this. The heavy lifting of healing is here for us to do. Can't run away from it. We can't. If we say we love our children, if we say we want our children to do well and to prosper, then we're going to have to heal ourselves. And then be there to do anything, whatever it takes, to help them heal. Yeah, no one's coming to do that work. We have to do it. Right? So, like I said, open invitation. Anyone wants to come and share. Cried for months when I finally let go of the pain with journaling and positive affirmations. It's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey. And it's a journey also of consciousness, because a lot of us are doing and saying things without being conscious. It's that programming, right? I always talk about how it's almost like you need to reprogram your subconscious and get rid of those old narratives that are the ones that control 90% of your life. So if that programming is there, you can apologize 1 billion times, but you'll still find yourself going and doing the same exact thing over and over again, which is where the trauma comes in for your children, because you keep perpetuating this thing, right? And you keep wounding them. You don't mean to, but if you're not healed, you're going to wound them, whether you want to or whether you're aware of it or not. It's really deep and it's very complex. So it requires a lot of unpacking on your part if you're a parent. And if you're somebody who has suffered that, then in order that you don't perpetuate it with your offspring, you're going to have to do the heavy lifting. And the time is now. Right? The time is now. You can't keep putting it off. It's not easy. And a lot of people, no, listen, it's not easy. That's why I always say when I press the live button, I'd rather you be here watching me and being challenged to do your healing work than scrolling through TikTok dance videos and funny animal videos. Because that's a distraction that a lot of us have made a habit of. Just keep scrolling and because it's a way of running away from the thing that you know deep down you need to do, which is to really engage with the healing work. Yeah. So a question may be, okay, fine, I can't afford a therapist, or there is no therapist. Where do I even begin? Journaling. Somebody wrote it here and said, I journaled, and positive affirmations. Journaling is a good place to start. You find yourself one of these, right? And you get a pen and you start writing. And you don't start writing as if you're censoring yourself. You don't start writing as if somebody is going to read this thing. No. You start writing the story of your life and everything that you remember. When you are journaling, what you're literally doing is you're having a conversation with yourself. You know the things that happen to you. Put them there. Nobody's going to find that thing. If it means that on a daily basis, you go and dig it into the ground somewhere where no one sees it. If that's what, do whatever makes you comfortable to put these things on paper, knowing that no one is going to find it. Because the minute you start writing with the fear that someone is going to read this, you're going to censor yourself. And like I said, many of us will censor ourselves where our relationship with our mothers especially are concerned, especially those mothers who sacrificed a lot for us, because it's hard to articulate, and it might be hard to write down, a dear mother, you hurt me. When you did this and this and this, you abandoned me. What kind of a mother does this? Like, because now listen, stream of consciousness, you're allowing this pain to come through the same way that it would come through if you had her in front of you and somebody said, go, let rip on her. You have to get in touch with that anger, because a lot of what is deep down in there is a lot of deep anger and hurt and sadness. You got to get in touch with that. And a lot of us find it difficult to do that and acknowledge anger to a parent who has sacrificed a lot for you. The thing is, acknowledging your anger doesn't take away from the sacrifice your parent made for you. All you're doing is acknowledging that, dear mother, you hurt me. I'm sitting here wondering what kind of a mother does this kind of thing. Like, are you even aware? Like, put it there as it comes and get in touch with that anger and let it come out. If it means you have to stop and scream and take a glass and go outside and throw that glass against the wall and scream, primal scream, go ahead. Do whatever it takes to heal. And if you know for a fact that your mother is not going to hear you out, this and a dear mother or dear father or dear gogo letter, it doesn't matter that this person is no longer alive. You can still have that healing and those conversations as though they are alive. And don't get stuck with the, don't speak ill of the dead. Guys, that's nonsense. When you need to heal, you need to heal. And if that deceased person hurt you, you need to acknowledge that. It doesn't mean you're disrespecting them. It doesn't mean you're not honoring them because they're gone. But if they hurt you when they were still alive, you need to acknowledge that they hurt you. You can only truly honor them as an ancestor once you've healed that hurt. Otherwise, you're faking it. I've had a lot of clients come to me after doing that kind of work with a dream where they say, I've never dreamt of my mother since she died 10 years ago. But after I started doing this work, she came to me in a dream and she was crying. And I felt so happy because I know that now she's connected to me. And I'm like, good, you've made that connection. Keep talking to her and tell her, if you can't speak it out loud, here, keep the healing going. The fact that she's shown up in your dreamscape means that you've connected with her. After 10 years, what was blocking that connection? The fact that you were hurt and you weren't acknowledging that she hurt you. And you were busy pouring libation for her and stuff, but your heart is hardened. You've got all this anger. Gotta heal. And in healing you, you also heal her because you release her. Many have said, my mother showed up and she was just crying. She didn't say anything. She was just crying. That means wherever she is, she's not at rest. So now it's your work together. As you heal her. And as she heals, she elevates so that she can join her ancestors where she needs. Most likely she's just been in limbo because that pain that she holds and that guilt and shame over how she treated you, she can't ascend. That's why you weren't dreaming her. We only dream of our ancestors, those who have ascended to a higher realm. They're the ones who we can now have that connection with where they're communicating. But she may be stuck because of that pain. That's why I have a ritual where I call it healing the ancients, healing our mothers, our great-grandmothers, like the whole lineage, because there are a lot of women who are stuck and can't be active ancestors in our lives because they are stuck in the pain that they died in. We cleanse them. Therefore, we elevate them. After we cleanse them, we elevate them. Then they can become the true warrior spirits and the guardians that we need them to be. Does that make sense? They can't do it when they're still in pain. And I've said this before. Many of our foremothers died in a lot of pain. And a lot of the pain that we are experiencing, for example, in our relationships, like intimate partner relationships, like literally we are bringing that with us in our DNA from our ancestry. So how then do we expect things are going to go right in the here and now if they weren't right in the past? We've got to do that healing work, cleansing them, healing ourselves. Then they rise up and they can be the ancestors that they're supposed to be. They can be the guardians in your home. They can be the protectors of you and your children. They can be the purveyors of the wealth that they carry for you because most of them do bring this wealth. Does that make sense? So it's really deep, family. This healing work, yes, we're talking about the trauma bond healing now, but do you see where it goes? It extends forward to our children, and then it also extends backwards in the lineage. Right? That is what's the difference between regular therapy and what I call psycho-spiritual work. Where, yes, we're working with the psychology and your brain and the here and now, but we're also working with the ancestry, with the spiritual aspect of it. Because we can't separate. As Bhagwantu, we know that we are spirit beings having a human experience. So you can't really separate the two. You can't. And sometimes your healing work feels harder because you're trying to separate the two. Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't know. Anyone want to come and weigh in? Open invitation once again. If somebody would want to come and share or, ask a question, I'm quite open to it. Yeah. Anyone? I don't see anyone. Spirit Angel, thank you for your contributions. I see them. And I'm just I'm super proud of you for the work that you have done for you and your children. Extend it outwards to your ancestors as well. A lot of the signs and symptoms that we are exhibiting now are also because of our unhealed ancestry and the pain that is in our lineages. We have to acknowledge that aspect. Otherwise, yes, we do the work here and now, but it's incomplete. It's incomplete if we don't do it, if we don't do the ancestral healing as well. Yeah. So I'm trying to see. No one wants to come and talk to me. No, that's fine. I understand. So, unless there are any questions, I think I'm going to close it here. If there are questions, come on right along. Let's do this. How often will you discuss this topic? I generally just will come in and discuss a topic once like this. I post these videos on YouTube, by the way. So if you want to recap or you even have a question, you can go and ask a question under YouTube. It's easier for me to respond once the video is uploaded. But that's where I upload. Guys, if you're not following me on YouTube, you're missing out. Like some of you have come in the middle of this topic. If you want to get the full, please go to YouTube. Please subscribe, comment, share, like. And please, 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 if you could kindly watch ads. There's a lot of videos there. So if you are one of these people and you've got free Wi-Fi wherever you are, just play my videos while you're cleaning or something and let the ads play through, please. It's revenue. It's revenue that is much needed in order to grow our movement. So I would really appreciate that. Yeah, but please go and follow. What's my YouTube? The YouTube is African Spirituality, African spelled with a K, African Spirituality, Gogo Nkanyezi Speaks. So it's African Spirituality dash Gogo Nkanyezi Speaks. You'll find me over there. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of personal development stuff too. There's a section called Chemet Health where I wear my other hat as a medical biochemist and I talk about our physical body and the things that we need to take care of. I believe, well, I don't believe, but I'm called to holistic healing. My healing practice is ancestral. It's about you. It's about your physical body. It's about your emotional well-being, your psychological well-being. So it's kind of a holistic approach to healing, basically. So how does one kickstart the spiritual healing of the ancestors' traumas? It starts with you, Seho. It starts with you. Right? It starts with you doing the healing work for yourself. And then there are rituals that you can then do. Usually these rituals, if I'm in South Africa, I usually facilitate them at the river because we know that water is the great reservoir for all our ancestors, right? So it's usually a water ritual because once again, water has memory. Water is alive. Water heals in and of itself. And so we do a ritual whereby you get a river cleanse, and by us putting you in the river and washing you, we are washing your ancestors on you. We use certain herbs that are known to be ancestral herbs that cleanse your ancestors while they cleanse you too. It's a really beautiful and powerful ritual. And it's so interesting because the Ndlovukazi, it's not a mass ritual. It's on an individual basis, and I usually do it after a consultation to actually see what could be going on. But I'll tell you a story for nothing. Just recently, I was in South Africa, and one of my spiritual children, who's someone I actually grew up with, we've been close since we were 11 years old. So she flew over because she's based in the States. She flew over. And one thing that came through in consultation is that the grandmothers were saying, you're going to need us for the journey ahead. Well, you know, she has a great job here and everything, but we didn't quite understand. And she's also ancestrally gifted. What did they mean, the journey ahead? And they were very clear about how they wanted her cleansing done. So we did the cleansing. You're not going to believe this. It wasn't long after, and while she was still there, she got a message saying she needed, and we were supposed to go to Durban for an ocean visit. She had some rituals to do at the ocean that I was going to facilitate. And a message came through saying that she needed to head back to the USA like ASAP because she was now going to be the CEO of the organization she works for. So do you see what I mean about cleansing those greats so that they can facilitate things in your life? Like, I was blown away. I'm still blown away. Like, you can't make this stuff up. It's like, what? Yeah, because we were getting ready. So after the whole river cleanse, we're like, okay, next step, We need to get a car and we need to head off to the ocean. She's like, I can't. Coco, I can't. I'm like, what's going on? Why? She's like, yo, I got a message from work that I need to come back. What? What's going on? I'm CEO. Huh? So that is the power of rituals. That is the power of cleansing the ancestry. Because that's why I said at the very beginning, many of you are blocked because you are wounded. And sometimes many of you are blocked because your ancestors are wounded. Because your ancestors are stuck. You're going to be stuck. There's no way you're going to proceed if your ancestors are stuck. Right? So, yeah. Just, I thought I'd share that little story. I hope she won't mind me sharing this. Yeah, she'll be like, Coco, Mara unjani? Why are you putting my stuff on Front Street? No, I'm sure she won't mind. But yeah, do you still use the WhatsApp number? Yeah, bo. I use the WhatsApp number, Gogo, that's on a video that is over here. Struggling with addiction, also a sign of blockage. Hard to say off the top of my head. I can't give a general answer, but it could be. It could very well be a sign of blockage because whatever it is you are addicted to, the question then becomes, what pain are you trying to numb? Right? A lot of addictions are to do with numbing of pain. So that's where the question is, what are you running away from? What pain are you repressing or suppressing that you're trying to numb? Right? If it's an addiction to alcohol, well, addiction to anything really is a sign of great imbalance and the fact that there is pain you're trying to distract yourself from. Right? So that would be the place to start if you want to ask yourself some deep questions. What is it that I'm trying to numb? What payoff am I getting by taking this stuff? What is it giving me? Like, what is the payoff? Right? What is it? Because what is it you feel when you're not addicted or when you don't take this substance? Right? So that's a place to start. And I mean, trying to beat an addiction by yourself, I don't know. I have had many clients who, will start work together and they'll be like, you know what, I think I'm good. And I'm like, if we were at 90 days, I'd say, yeah, maybe. Until a trigger comes along. But if you're not at 90 days, if we're doing this work and by day 21 you check out, I know for a fact you're going to relapse. Because it's not an easy walk. The tendency to fall back on the familiar, even if the familiar is toxic, is really, really big. And this is even with trauma bonding. That's why I said, you tell yourself, I'm done, I'm checking out. A whole year goes by. Before you know it, you're back making that phone call. That afterwards, you're a mess, you're in tears. It's taking you back to your kitchen where this and this was happening because she did the same thing she's always done. These things are complicated. So, I would not try to embark on that journey by myself. Whatever it is, I think rehab works for some it doesn't. Sometimes there's spiritual aspects to addiction, which is something that which is why some people go to rehab, come out and relapse, go to rehab, come out and relapse, go to rehab, come out and relapse. Sometimes is to do with an ancestor or ancestors that had the same addiction that you have. Meaning to say there may be a genetic component to it. And if that's not really looked at and fixed spiritually, it's going to be an uphill struggle. It's going to be an uphill struggle. Yeah. So Unless there are any, I fasted, prayed, and sat in a quiet place alone to heal. Great. I mean, if prayer and fasting works for you, that's great. That's great. Some of us don't pray, so I'm not a Christian, so no, I don't pray. And I think some people here may not pray either, but yeah, whatever works. That's why I said, do whatever it is that you need to do to heal is very important. Heal by any means necessary. But don't go and heal by taking on some bad habits and calling it healing. So I don't see any questions, any other comments that I can address. I don't see... let me see. Yeah, I don't see any other questions and comments, guys. So shall I call it? Oh, 2 messages. Okay. Shall I call it a day? Go. Are the Christian ancestors also assisted by this? Yes. The Christian ancestors are definitely assisted by this. Remember, in spirituality, there's no heaven, there's no hell. So really, all those Christian ancestors are just stuck. And some of them cannot even reach back to their children. So that, no, I can't discuss my rituals. I really can't. There's no one size fits all is why I say I can't discuss my rituals. That's why I gave a general of how these rituals are done, how I do them. Now, different healers do different things. But there is no like one size fits all. Like I said, Gogo, on the topic of blockages, is it possible to have a certain pattern within the family? Yebo. Tokoza Gogo. Definitely it is. That's why I'm talking about ancestral healing, which now we're going to be now looking at the DNA aspect of things, right? That is this thing within the DNA. Sometimes it's good to look at the ancestry because certain behaviors that are manifesting in you may be because back there was an ancestor who was like that. But then one member of the family doesn't seem to be affected. How did this work? Well, genetics doesn't always mean that every single member of the family is affected, right? So, for example, it might... somebody might get, I'm going to speak some technical science now. Hopefully this will make sense. So for example, let's say alcoholism, right? Let's say that in the family, there was a great grandfather who was an alcoholic. Then after that, a grandfather, and then your father, and then now you, right? But with you, there are siblings within your family, or let's just say with you, you're the only one in your family, but your siblings aren't affected by it. Well, that could be because you're the one who got what we call the recessive gene, or the gene that may cause alcoholism, right? Why is everybody else not affected? Sometimes it could be you. And if you're ancestrally gifted, sometimes there is an ancestor there that requires healing from that thing, and therefore that particular dis-ease or that particular block addiction will manifest in you as the ancestrally gifted child. So now your job is to fix that. I often see people who are like, Sangomas are drinking so much. They drink. Well, one of the reasons a lot of Sangomas drink so much is because our work is so stressful. But then I often sometimes look and I say to myself, I wonder why this drinking is so crazy rife. Could it be because there are some ancestors, because guys, we have all sorts of ancestors in our lineage, some who did terrible things, some like, could it be that they see a portal and they are like, siyamngena lo, because you are a healer yourself, you are an initiated healer yourself, perhaps they see that this is where they can get help, is through you. Because what's very interesting for me is that there are a lot of people who go into initiation school. Maybe moderate drinkers or not drinking at all. When they come out, oh my God, it's a mess. And I was like, no, man, this can't be happening with everybody like this. Like the whole ubungoma fraternity. Kanjani? And I just heard these ancestors who see portals and want healing. So what you then don't do is, yes, you see that now this has become a problem. Heal it so that you heal that ancestor. Heal that in you so that you heal that ancestor or those ancestors. Spirituality is very complex, but at the same time, it's also very consistently. It's also very consistent. There's certain things that you see consistently. Wow, people approach me all the time with drug addictions and heal them. Okay. Can you close a portal from evil workings? It'd be so great if you came on and asked that question, because then I could ask what you mean, and then we could have that discussion. But yeah, I mean, Coco, I hope I answered your question sufficiently. I hope I answered your question. Can you close a portal from evil workings? Yeah, I'd have to have more information about what you mean by a portal. Is it a portal that you created for your own communications or for your own rituals? Is it a portal that is just a known portal? Usually where there are ley lines in the ground, in places where two ley lines of latitude, lines of longitude cross like that usually creates a portal. So now that's a portal. And here, look, duality in nature. Anything can be used for good or bad. So is it a portal that you've created? Because, for example, when I do river work, I create a portal through which to communicate when I'm there, right? And then I close that portal when I'm done. This is something that I think a lot, I don't know how it's done, but I think there are quite a lot of people who don't realize this, that you can go and do work at a river. You create or open a portal after you've asked for permission from the owners of the water, right? That is that whole initial thing you do, particularly if you are the one taking people to the river to do work for them. You have to make sure that you create a portal, and when you see that that's done and that's ready, you do whatever it is you do. That portal is the place through which you're sending your messages. When you are done, so that no nefarious nobody comes up behind you and undoes what you've done, you close that portal. The way the portal is closed, people do it differently, but there's certain incantations you can say to make sure it's closed. Some of us have a certain particular stick that were given by a particular ancestor that you can use in the water to either open the portal, right? You can open the portal and then you can close it once you've done work, and that's that. It's sealed. I hope that makes sense somehow. What about the portal that someone else in your line created but didn't close? Hey, do you know where that portal is and how it was created? If you've been shown maybe in the dreamscape, then maybe, right? If you've been shown in the dreamscape. The interesting thing is, like, yeah, I wish you guys would come on so we can actually have conversations, because I see your questions and I'd like to address them properly, but in order for me to do so, I'd need to ask for further information. So, yeah. Oh, you said it makes sense? I'm grateful. Okay, perfect. Okay, somebody's requested. Let's see who's coming on. Covilla. There we go. Hello, Queen Torosa.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm the one that asked about the portal.
Yes. Did it make sense?
It did make sense, but someone's sending negative energy, negative workings like witchcraft to me and my boyfriend, and she won't stop. So I was told that someone could stop her from doing it, and they'll close the portal, but I didn't really know what they meant by that.
Yeah, I mean, people use different terms. She can be stopped very easily by one simple ritual. It doesn't even require opening or closing any portal. You just send a very strong cease and desist message and she'll stop.
Like what?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't share my rituals on here.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Got it. But do you do workings like that?
Yeah.
Help people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, should I DM you?
Yeah, the number that you can get me on via WhatsApp is on a video that I've posted here. But yeah, that's like child's play. And what I'm already picking up is that she's playing at witchcraft. She's not really an adept.
Oh, she's doing it. She's paying somebody that just does candles, or it's not deep. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's not that deep what she's doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she made my boyfriend move out, a separation. It's my boyfriend's baby's mom.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So-
let's not talk about your private business here. We can always do that when you make contact.
Okay. Sweet. Thank you so much for adding me. Appreciate your knowledge. You're very knowledgeable.
Togo's.
Okay, thank you.
Togo's. Somebody asked to come on. Suddenly everybody's awake. Hello.
Togoza Gogo, how are you?
I'm good, my love. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So I was asking about the clarification on portals started, what's it called, in the bloodline before, like earlier on in the bloodline where someone didn't open it, because in my case, I won't go too deep into it, but there've been repeated messages to say portals were opened that were not closed, and it was affecting us in our life paths and our destinies.
Portals to what though? And again, you see, I don't like going into details on personal things, but just give me that for a minute and see where I can go with it. Portals, you've heard that, but portals to what?
I don't know as to what, but it affects our reproductive health. So, as women in the family,
I don't know, man. It's not what I'm picking up though. But let's keep it there. It's definitely not what I'm picking up for you. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. And again, I'm not here to consult. That's why I'm trying to shut it down, but I'm hearing very clearly that no, that is not what the problem is with the women in your family. Togos.
okay, no problem. I'll reach you. I'll reach out on the back end. But thank you so much.
Togos. Oh, oof, yeah. Now you got me started. Okay. Anyone else with a question? Anyone else with a question? No one? Nobody with a question? All right, guys. So I don't see any other questions. Like we just, oh, thank you so much. Oh, here's one person. Somebody's here. It's Gogo. Thokoza Gogo, emakhosini.
Tokoza Gog.
Thokoza, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Gog?
I'm good.
So, I don't know if it's a question or like just seeking some information about something that I've experienced, not necessarily on this journey, but before this journey. I found out from my mom about something that happened within the family.
Yeah.
Something was done by someone within the family, and this person later confessed to my mother about what she did. I don't think she realized she was doing that at that moment. And in all honesty, I'm seeing it play out basically. So now it has gotten to a point where, okay, I've noticed these things, and I'm also on a journey where I'm in school. I'm still a scholar, and I'm basically saying it has gotten to a point where it worries me, like what if it's gonna affect me as well? Because I've seen it play out up until my dad.
Yeah.
Gogo.
So
So
when this person confessed to your mom what she did, what was done about it?
nothing was done about it, Gogo.
Yeah. See, that's a problem.
Mm,
That's a problem because
nothing
somebody
was done.
acknowledging that they've done something doesn't mean the problem goes away. It's just great that she confessed and now you know what the problem is, but then that problem needs to be fixed.
Definitely, Gogo. So now that I'm on this whole spiritual journey, it's something that has come up as well with my ancestors, but then it's not like very clear to me as to, okay, how do I fix this? What do I do about it? Because I do see it actively playing out within my family. So it has gotten to a point where I've considered putting my schoolwork on hold, and I've been shown that I need to put it on hold to address spiritual matters back home. So
Well, if you've been
I just
shown
don't
that,
know.
if you've been shown that, Gogo, then that's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you're a young healer, right?
Yes, Gogo, I am.
And I'm hearing no, you haven't been to initiation school.
I haven't been to initiation school, Gogo.
Right. You're going to require help then. You're going to probably need to consult so that someone can tell you what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because sometimes if you are a selfie, which is what you are, your journey is extremely long. And so there are
Mm-hmm.
certain rituals that will come to you over a long period of time. And if this is an urgent matter, then you may need to consult so that you can get very clear instructions of, okay, you need this, you need this, you need this. Go there, do this, do this, do this, do this. And you're a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual child, so you don't necessarily need a facilitator or inyanga to do it for you, but you can certainly get instructions on how to do it.
Oh, okay. By consulting.
Yeah, I mean, you have to consult somebody, and
Oh,
usually a consult is not necessarily somebody reading you, but you can state what the problem is. Like right now, we're talking about a hypothetical problem, but you can find somebody you
yes.
trust, share that problem, and say, okay, this is the problem. This person actually confessed to having done X. How do I go about fixing it?
Mm,
And then you get
that makes
instructions. Because for you to
no.
take time off school to try to figure out what to do, and you're going to be sitting around waiting on some dream instructions, that could take forever. And you're putting school on hold. Whereas you can get the help you need, get the instructions, go get this thing done, and then maybe you can get back into school. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, Coco. On the matter of school, it's more of a introduction kind of thing, because I can't do the things that I'm shown while I'm here at school. And now it has gotten to a point where my ancestors have become impatient, and they tell me that we're giving you this, you're not doing it. So it has definitely affected me throughout this year. So it has gotten to a point where I just want to give myself time and get the introduction process started so I can carry on with the rest of my life, basically.
Yeah. I think that's a wise move.
Yes, Coco.
Towards.
Talk- Coco.
I have a couple
Thank
more.
you for your time.
You're welcome, my love. You're welcome. Let me see who else is here. Disconnect, accept. Hello.
Hey, Mama, how are you?
Togoza, I'm great. Who's this?
Igama ngubasi.
Togoza. Why does your voice sound familiar?
Because I think I've got in touch with you way back in 2018.
Yo! Hello, Nana.
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. And
Togoza.
then ever since then, Wankulisa, the thing is, I've went through some journey and then I got rid of my Facebook. I even had you as my friend on Facebook. That was years ago. So I have a new profile because I disappeared for some time. I needed some, to cool off. So I'm back. I'm online, even though I don't have a profile picture, but I'm in the space. I'm within.
Now you're making me so curious. I'm like, who's this baby? Like, who's this? 2018. Wow.
I swear.
That's something. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, I've been doing this for a minute, right?
For a long time. What's Kulisa Sivanin?
Oh, that's beautiful. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that validation. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am. I have a question on behalf of those who are on a spiritual journey like myself.
Mhm.
The importance of ukuzila ucansi.
Yeah. Well, firstly, if you are really like if you're on a spiritual journey, celibacy is the way to go. There are several reasons, and I think I've shared before, but since you're here, I'll just outline some of the basic reasons for celibacy when you're on a spiritual journey. Number one, your aura or your energetic body has to stay squeaky clean so that your connection with your ancestors and your guides and other beings out there can be just like that. Most people, when you are in a physical relationship with someone, your energetic body takes on bits of their energy too. And I always say your energetic body is your unique fingerprint. Once you dirty your fingerprint, it's very hard to identify you. Even if somebody wants to use your print, if it's messed up, then it's hard to identify who you are. So when your energetic body has bits of another person or other people's energy, it's very difficult for your ancestors to dock. I'm trying to use analogy that you can use your imagination. So it's almost like they can't really locate. They're like, there she is somewhere, but she's murky. Like, is that her? Is that not her? I'm using that in a simplistic way to explain why it is you need to keep your energetic body clean in order for them to be able to communicate with you, be it through the dreamscape, be it through visions. As long as you're carrying somebody else's energy, that's going to be very hard to do. So that's why it's important, Wuzila. The other important thing, and a lot of people don't realize this, is if you have a partner or partners, and those partners have other partners, say behind your back, or even if you know, you then joining yourself with that one partner who has other partners, you're also taking on energetic fragments of that person's partners. So do you see how murky it gets? If your partner happens to have been or had sex with somebody who had an abortion or a miscarriage and didn't cleanse, you are taking on fragments of the woman who had the abortion, your partner's fragments, and fragments of that infant or infants if this person had multiple. Do you see how murky it can get? It can get really, really nasty. And I talk like that, not in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense. That's why you'll hear people say, "Umele ube clean. Ucansi luyangcolisa." It's not that the sex is dirty, guys. It's just a use of language to explain what happens to your aura or energetic body when you are engaging in sex. And so when you're on a spiritual journey, celibacy really helps you in terms of connection. Number two, when you're on a spiritual journey, Celibacy helps you because remember that your sacral chakra, that reproductive area, is the seat of your life force, or what we call Kundalini energy, which sits at the base of your spine. So when you're constantly giving that out, you are energetically depleting your creative force.
Oh.
Yebo. So again, that's another positive. In fact, I always say to women, especially in this day and age, man, if you can avoid sex, try to avoid it. Just avoid sex for a year or even 6 months. See how your life is going to change. Because you're keeping all your energy to yourself. You're not leaking energy here, there, and everywhere. And I always say sometimes you're really giving off your energy to people who don't deserve it. The other thing is, when as a woman particularly you're engaging in sex, as a woman, naturally you are a healer. There's a reason why Marvin Gaye sang that song, Sexual Healing. He knew exactly what he was talking about. Women can heal their partners through sex. The problem is, you as a spiritual person are like an energy portal. So if your partner has whatever illness or whatever bad temper or whatever bad habits you have, these things get deposited into you. He may get better, he may heal, but those remnants are left with you. And if you don't know how to cleanse that out of your own system, you're going to eventually get sick. That's why it's also important. Who are you having sex with?
Makes sense.
Another reason, while if you're a spiritual person, it's better to avoid sex. Because you are a portal to spirit, you become very attractive to things that we call spirit husband or spirit wife. These are entities that just kind of roam around looking for who to attach with. And people think that these things like sex because they have pleasure from it. That's a total misunderstanding. These entities like sex and you to release, because at that point of orgasm, you release a whole bunch of energy which they feed on to elevate themselves. Does that make sense? So this whole thing that these runners love sex, no, it's not the act that they love. They don't have a physical body to enjoy. They simply need you to release that life force energy, which is what feeds them. Does that make sense?
It does.
Now, how does this apply to you as a spiritual person? I said you are a portal, therefore you can attract these. Well, worse still, if you are engaging in sexual relations with someone whose aura is murky, it lowers your vibrational frequency. Meaning that once your vibrational frequency is low, all these entities, these spiritual husbands, spirit wives, they live at a very low vibrational frequency. So guess who you're going to meet if you're vibrating low? Right? You're right at their frequency, they can reach you. As long as you are spiritually clean and you're vibrating high, these creatures can't get to you. It's the same with witchcraft. Witchcraft cannot get to you if you're vibrating high, because witchcraft is low vibrational energy. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. Because I've experienced whereby when I engage, I end up having this energy, like sometimes like nyakwa tanje, and then his stuff get approved, things like that. And something's been telling me just stop. And now I'm questioning it, because sometimes I try to stop eating certain foods, get on diets, get on a deficit diet. I'm like, okay, maybe I can balance. But I'm like, how come when I'm doing this person prosper, of which I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with it, but then at my cost, with my energy.
And it's always going to be like that. It's always going to be like that for the woman. Now there are a lot of men who know this sex secret. They know that just get into close proximity with a divine feminine, your things are going to go well. Now, sleep with a divine feminine, you harness that. People are doing what is called sex magic, Nana. Where at that point at which you are orgasm, he will literally speak or manifest whatever it is he wants to see happen and use your power to create the thing that he wants to create for himself. But then you are left at a deficit because now whatever it is you've been working on or you're doing, it crumbles or it slows down. But then
Yes.
these things, that's where you know that there's an unfair energy exchange right there. That's where you know that, no, man, this person is Bluetoothing my energy, basically. And using it to build their own thing. And some people do it intentionally. That's where ukutwebula or ukutwala really comes into it. Amadoda amaningi bathwele ngabantu besifazane. And that doesn't mean to go and actually get an entity. No, uthwala ngawe through sex. Uzothuthuka when into zakho ziyawa. So you need to be very protective of your sacred, what I call your sacred femininity, basically.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Nice.
I appreciate you, ma.
No, you're welcome. It's such a pleasure. Now, you're going to have to send me a picture because I'm so dying of curiosity.
I'll connect with you, ma.
Togoza. Love you lots. Take care.
Thank you. I love you too.
Togoza. Anyone else with any questions? Anyone else? Any questions? What does it mean, the people who get exposed to Uktwala are spiritually weak? Does that mean the people who get exposed to Uktwala are spiritually weak? No. How do you mean the who are exposed to Uktwala? I just explained that kunokutwala ngesifazane, basically through sex. But then kunokutwala where somebody gets an entity. You can't win with that, especially if you put yourself in a position. People are doing heavy, serious stuff out there. Right? So most people who are spiritually weak are very vulnerable to twalists. That is why I always advise young girls who don't know who they are, who have no clue of anything spiritual, who don't connect with their ancestors. Most of them, some of them are in the Jesus camp. They find themselves in the hands of twalists, and because of love of money, they're done for. And once, I've heard stories that will make your blood go cold. When I see white light and pink energy around my aura, is that good? Yes. It pink, if you say pink energy, if you mean like a pink light, that's your heart chakra. So your heart chakra has that pinkish hue, right? All your chakras have different colors of the spectrum. So if you're seeing pinkish energy, it literally means that your heart chakra or your heart space is very healthy. Meaning to say you don't have any blockages which are caused by deep pain or sorrow or or anger, that thing. So yeah, good heart space. Gogo does the lineage. Yo guys, now you're asking. That's why I said request and come and ask your questions in one go, because like some have typos in them, so I don't understand. How do you stop someone from reading you? I don't know I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, I don't know. I think spiritual vulnerability is a big problem, and maybe I should do a full topic on it. Spiritual vulnerability, walking around like an open book where everybody can read you. There are things you can do, but yeah, let me sit with that one, and then maybe I'll bring it on as a live. Would you recommend eating fruits in different colors to heal chakras? Yeah, but you can't just heal chakras with fruit. You've got to do the work too, because a lot of our chakras are blocked, or our energy centers are not the wheels in our energy, because the energy in your chakras is turning like this all the time. And when there's a blockage, it's either turning very slowly or doesn't turn. Because remember, from the root, it's turning like this, right? Into the next chakra, into the next chakra, into the next chakra, into the next chakra and up onto your crown, right? So the blockages that are caused by certain emotions, maybe I should do one on chakra blockages and what are the emotions that are associated with each. Because really for us, most of us, it's the emotional aspects of our lives that are blocking the free flow of energy from the base all the way up and then back down again. Because remember, it's like in the spine, there's a tube that goes upwards, asa, and a tube that goes downward, aset. So, and in there is this energy that does this. So our emotions, and each chakra covers different emotions. Really, that's where we're at. That's why I talk about this emotional, psychological healing so much, because not only is not healing psychologically, see, because those energy centers also affect the health of your physical body. There are real energy centers that are there. They're not like imaginary. They are actually there. So if that energy is stuck and blocked somewhere, it can start to cause dis-ease within your physical self. That's why my approach to healing is holistic. We heal this body, but we also have to heal the emotions, and then we have to heal that spiritual realm as well, right? If any of these realms is not healed and you're not in perfect, can't be perfect balance all the time because we're always healing. But if you are not always seeking to be in balance, yeah, it becomes a mess. Ne? Would you recommend prohibition on listening to mainstream music because of its negative mantra and frequency? I wouldn't say prohibition. I mean, people will choose to do what they want. I don't. There's certain music that I'll listen to, you know, and I mostly listen to African music. I don't listen to any other. In fact, I've just made a commitment because of years spent, you know, in engaging in whiteness nonsense, that for the rest of my life, I made this commitment several years ago. I only consume Black art, I only consume Black literature, and I only consume Black music. And the frequency of our music is actually at the right frequency. There is certain stuff that's out there that whose frequency you hear and you can feel your body's like, oh my God, what is this? I remember once, you know, here's a little story. So I lived in Germany for some years, and I remember, it was when I was 19, I remember going to a club with some young people and going in there and they were playing heavy metal. Yeah, so Guns N' Roses. I remember feeling like throwing up. That stuff just felt so, like it just made my body want to scream. That's when I knew that, you know, these creatures are not okay. How do you call this music? And they were doing this and they were doing this. And then there was a group, I think it was Guns N' Roses. Oh, it was the group AC/DC that used to stomp on baby chicks on stage. That's why I was like, I'm not. I'm not. So yes, you're correct. There's certain music that really one should be careful. One should really be careful, and not when we say negative frequency. It's the kind of stuff that you know your higher self knows, and you'll suddenly feel like, hey, you know what? I'm turning this stuff off. But music that makes you dance, music that makes you happy, that is high vibrational stuff. It's like me. There's some, I love Amapiano. Amapiano is not low vibrational by any stretch of the imagination. Amapiano makes me happy. I sit over here and I dance to myself. Cash contant, ha, vrpa, ha, shandapa, ha, Maradona Kista, ha. See, I even know them. I know the latest one. Because that makes me happy, you know. So so no, that is definitely not low vibrational music whatsoever. And the fact that everybody's out there dancing and enjoying it, no, it's not low vibrational. Dance is therapy. So, and I always say, people are like, oh, Africans are always dancing. Yeah, we need the healing. That's why we dance. And Tina is Izangoma. We will always dance because Isangoma sivuswa ngengoma vele. Right? That is what being a Sangoma. Sangoma literally means she or he of the drum or the song. sangoma. Ngoma in many of the Bantu languages, ngoma is a drum. Kudu, 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 kudu. So a sangoma is he or she of the kudu, kudu, kudu. So yeah, bring it on. We will always dance. Shame. I saw you guys laughing at me. I know the lyrics. Did I get them right? Yeah. Who's here? Let me take Ino first. I think Ino came first. Then I'll take you, user. I saw you. I will take you.
Hi, Coco.
Togoza.
How are
Ino,
you?
I'm good. How are you, love?
I'm good. Coco, I have a question here.
Yes.
It's more like a feeling. My boyfriend just passed on 11 months ago, and I have this energy that he's not resting.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever did this to him might be behind me with that bad energy.
Okay.
So it's been 9 months since he's been gone, and I still have that energy that he might be behind me with the same energy that he used. I feel like he's not resting wherever he is, and he's not looking at me in a good way. I think he's not looking at me and like I'm his enemy now.
Yeah, you know what? I really can't say much about that because that is very private and personal, and that would require a consultation to actually see what's going on. I don't,
Okay.
I don't do readings online. So
Okay.
I would say find someone you trust. It doesn't have to be,
Okay.
it doesn't have to be me, but if you really want to know what's going on, you're gonna need to do a consultation.
Oh, okay.
Who goes?
Okay, Tokoza. Thank you so much.
You're
Bye
welcome.
bye.
All right, there's one more person here that I saw. User. You know, you can come off now.
Oh,
Who goes?
okay.
Togoza. Togoza. Hello? Hi there. Hello. Hello. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of you then because you're not saying anything. All right, let's see who else might be there. Nope, that's it. All right, guys. So I don't see anyone else requesting, so I'm going to bid you good night. I'm going to say gure. South Africa, I know you are awake and well. Africa, hello, good day to you. Grand rising to you all. And everyone else, rest well until we meet again. Yeah, Mas Togozeni, love you guys so much.